everyone, and welcome to my 2026 updated home library bookshelf tour. If you have not seen the building of this home library, I will link the playlist down below where I take you through the entire journey of how my dad and I built this library using IKEA bookshelves. Since my last bookshelf tour, the bookshelves are now a dark blue color, which I love, and the books on them have changed quite a bit, so I thought I would take you through this new updated library tour. They are all categorized and ordered by the author's last name in alphabetical order, and then they are kind of grouped by genre. So up at the top over there, you see middle grade fantasy, then you get into all of the fantasy, and then you move into thrillers. So we're going to go through it all together. And the way I thought I would do this shelf tour this year was going through every book and telling you my star rating of that book. So if you're new to this channel, you'll get a good idea, hopefully, from this style of what my reading taste is like, the different kinds of books I read, the different kind of books I enjoy. I have unhauled a ton of books out of this library that were 3 stars, mediocre for me. So most of the books on my shelves are going to be 4 stars and above, with maybe some exceptions there. So let's go ahead and begin at the very top for this new 2026 shelf tour. So starting at the very tippy top of my middle grade fantasy shelf, we have Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, 4 stars. Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston, 4 stars. The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, DNF'd. Gregor the Overlander by Suzanne Collins, DNF'd. A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison, 4 stars. A Sprinkle of Sorcery by Michelle Harrison, 4 stars. A Tangle of Spells by Michelle Harrison, 5 stars. A Storm of Sisters by Michelle Harrison, 4 stars. Dylan Dover Into the Vortex by Lynn Howard, have not read. Ravenfall by Kaylin Josephson, have not read. The Giver by Lois Lowry, 5 stars. Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry, 3 stars. Messenger by Lois Lowry, 4 stars. Sun by Lois Lowry, 5 stars. A bunch of Magic Treehouse books for my girls when they get older that I'm not going to go through right now. Northern Lights by Philip Pullman, 4 stars. The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman, 3 stars. The Amber Spyglass, Philip Pullman, 3 stars. For the second middle grade shelf, we have the whole Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. Only the first book I read, The Lightning Thief, and I gave it 4 stars. And even though I won't be continuing on with that series right now, I do want to keep it to read it in the future with my girls when they're a little older. Then we have the entire A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. I have read all of these, and all of them fluctuated between 4 and 5 stars. So I won't say each individual rating, but just know that I really enjoyed this series and can't wait to reread it again with my kids. So we have The Bad Beginning, The Reptile Room, The Wide Window, The Miserable Mill, The Austere Academy, The Ersatz Elevator, The Vile Village, The Hostile Hospital, The Carnivorous Carnival, The Slippery Slope, The Grim Grotto, The Penultimate Peril, and The End. Then I have the entire Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart that I found at a thrift shop. I have not read any of these yet, but I do plan on reading them soon. And then we have the first 3 books in the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend, starting with Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow, 4 stars. Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow, 5 stars. And Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow, 5 stars. Moving down now to my adult/young adult fantasy shelves. This is the majority of my shelves, so there are a lot of them, and we'll get through all of them. The first book I have is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. I did not finish. The First Law Trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. starting with the blade itself, 4 stars. Before They Are Hanged, 4 stars. Last Argument of Kings, 4.5 stars. Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie, 3 stars. Age of Ash by Daniel Abraham, I have not read. The Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden, The Bear and the Nightingale, 4 stars. The Girl in the Tower, 5 stars. And The Winter of the Witch, 5 stars. The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden, 4 stars. Voice of War by Zach Argyle, I have not read. Battle Mage by Stephen Aryan, I have not read. The Judas Blossom by Stephen Aryan, 3 stars. Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, 4 stars. On a Burning Throne and A Dark Queen Rises by Ashok K. Banker. First book, 4 stars. Second book, 4 stars. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry, 4 stars. On the next shelf, we have the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo, Shadow and Bone, 5 stars, Siege and Storm, 4 stars, Ruin and Rising, 5 stars. The Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo, Six of Crows, 4.5 stars, Crooked Kingdom, 5 stars. King of Scars duology by Leigh Bardugo, King of Scars, 4.5 stars, Rule of Wolves, 4 stars. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, 3 stars. Gods of the Wardwood by R.J. Barker, I have not read. The Divine Cities trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett, City of Stairs, 5 stars. City of Blades, 4.5 stars. City of Miracles, 5 stars. The Founders trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett, Foundry Side, 5 stars. Shorefall, 5 stars. Locklands, 3 stars. I have no idea what this series name is, but it's this series by Robert Jackson Bennett. The Tainted Cup, 4 stars. A Drop of Corruption, 4 stars. Moving right on down, we have The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, 4 stars. One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake, I have not read. Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake, I DNF'd. The Diviners series by Libba Bray, The Diviners, 5 stars. Layer of Dreams, did not finish. And the third and fourth book, I have not read. Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks, I have not read. The Aeronauts Windlass by Jim Butcher, I did not finish. Stormfront by Jim Butcher, I have not read. The Under the Northern Sky trilogy by Leo Carew. The Wolf, 4 stars. The Spider, 4.5 stars. The Cuckoo, 5 stars. The first 2 books in the Rook and Rose series by M.A. Carrick, both of which I have not read. Solace by Gail Carriger, 4 stars. For the next shelf, we have the Greatcoat series by Sebastian D. Castell, all of which I believe I gave 5 stars. The Devabad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty, The City of Brass, 4 stars. The Kingdom of Copper and the Empire of Gold, 5 stars. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, I have not read. Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi, 5 stars. The Gilded Wolves trilogy by Roshani Chokshi, The Gilded Wolves, 4 stars. The Silvered Serpents, I did not finish, and The Bronze Beast, I have not read. The Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, Clockwork Angel, 4 stars. Clockwork Prince, 4.5 stars. Clockwork Princess, 5 stars. Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark, 4 stars. Scarlet by Genevieve Cogman, I have not read. The bottom shelf for this section has the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. Hunger Games, 5 stars. Catching Fire, 5 stars. Mockingjay, I have not read, if you can believe it. Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, I have not read. The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell, I have not read. The Combat Code series by Alexander Darwin. The Combat Codes, 5 stars. Griever's Blood, 4 stars. Blacklight Born, I have not read. Legendborn by Tracy Dion, 4 stars. Rise of the Mages by Scott Drakeford, I have not read. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames, 4 stars. The Final Strife series by Sarah El Arifi, first book, 4 stars, and I have not read The Battle Drum. Shield Maiden by Sharon Emmerichs, I have not read. The Age of Uprising series by R.S. Ford, both of which I have not read. Here is the Outlander shelf. I gave Outlander 4 stars. Dragonfly in Amber, 4 stars. Voyager, 4 stars. Drums of Autumn, 4 stars. The Fiery Cross, 3 stars. Breath of Snow and Ashes, 4 stars. An Echo in the Bone, 3 stars. And Written in My Own Heart's Blood, 5 stars. The next shelf down here, I have Legend by David Gemmell, which I have not read. A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, which I gave 4 stars. Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, I have not read. The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek, I gave 4 stars. The Firebird trilogy by Claudia Gray, starting with 1,000 Pieces of You, which I gave 5 stars. 10,000 Skies Above You, I gave 4. And A Million Worlds with You, 4 stars. Winds of Strife by Yuji Gutman, I gave 5 stars. The next shelf I have The Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne, starting with Malice, I gave 4.5 stars. Valor, 5 stars. Ruin, 5 stars. And Wrath, 5 stars. A Time of Dread by John Gwynne, I have not read. Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith, I have not read. The Sword Defiant by Gareth Hanrahan, I have not read. The Gutter Prayer by Gareth Hanrahan, I DNF'd. On the next shelf, I have Deep Light by Frances Harding, which I did not finish. The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro, I gave 4 stars. The Jasad Air by Sarah Hashem, I have not read. The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins, 4 stars. Never Die by Rob J. Hayes, 4 stars. Pawn's Gambit by Rob J. Hayes, I have not read. The Thunder Heist by Jed Hearn, 4 stars. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, 4 stars. Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, I did not finish. The Forbidden by Laurie Holmes, I have not read. On the next shelf, I have the Licanius trilogy, starting with The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. I gave 5 stars twice. I gave this book 5 stars twice. And An Echo of Things to Come I have not read yet. This is a problem. I need to get to it. And The Light of All That Falls. Have not read. Yes, this series has been staring at me for so long. I just need to read it. The Queen of the Tearling series by Erica Johansson. We have The Queen of the Tearling 5 stars, The Invasion of the Tearling 4.5 stars, and The Fate of the Tearling 3 stars. Moving down to the next shelf, we have the Shadow of the Fox trilogy by Julie Kagawa. Shadow of the Fox, 5 stars, Soul of the Sword, 4.5 stars, and Night of the Dragon, 4 stars. The first 2 books in the Godkiller series by Hannah Gaynor. Godkiller, 4.5 stars. Sunbringer, I have not read. A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, 4.5 stars. Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, 4.5 stars. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, 5 stars. Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune, 3.5 stars. In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, 5 stars. And then finally at the bottom of this corner shelf, we have the Nevernight Chronicles by Jay Kristoff. Nevernight, 4 stars. God's Grave, 4.5 stars. And Dark Dawn, 4 stars. The Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang. The Poppy War, 5 stars. The Dragon Republic, 5 stars. And The Burning God, 3 stars. Joust by Mercedes Lackey, I have not read. Back to the top shelf, we have The Outstretched Shadow, To Light a Candle, and When Darkness Falls by Mercedes Lackey and James Mallory. All have not been read. The Elementals by Abby Latanzio has not been read. Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, 4 stars. Gray Sister by Mark Lawrence, 5 stars. Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence, 4 stars. The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence has not been read. Jade City by Fonda Lee, 4 stars. Jade War by Fonda Lee, 5 stars. Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee, 5 stars. Furyborn by Claire Legrand has not been read. 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, 3 stars. The Helm of Midnight by Marina Lostetter has not been read. On this next shelf, it is predominantly Sarah J. Maas, but I do have some other books. So starting with the first 2 books in the Young Elites series, The Young Elites, 4 stars, The Rose Society, 5 stars. The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch, 4 stars. The A Court of Thorns and Roses series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, 4 stars. A Court of Mist and Fury, 5 stars. A Court of Wings and Ruin, 4 stars. The first 2 books in the Crescent City series, House of Earth and Blood, 4.5 stars. House of Sky and Breath, I have not read yet. The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, The Assassin's Blade, 4 stars. Throne of Glass, 4 stars. Crown of Midnight, 5 stars. Heir of Fire, 4 stars. And I'm pretty sure I gave all of the remaining Throne of Glass novels 4 stars in this series. All right, moving right along, for the next shelf we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, 5 stars. A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. All 3 of the first books I gave 5 stars. And books 4 and 5 I gave 4 stars. The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. All of these I gave 4 stars. The Twilight series by Stephanie Meyer. Forgive the price tags on the front of 2 of the covers. I can't get them off. Twilight, 4 stars. New Moon, 4.5 stars. Eclipse, 5 stars. Breaking Dawn, 2 stars. Kaiki by Vaishnavi Patel, 4 stars. On the next shelf, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, 5 stars. Circe by Madeline Miller, 4 stars. Songs of Chaos, books 1 and 2, Ascendant, 4 stars. Unbound, I have not read yet. I think this is called the Locked Tomb series. I'm sorry if it's not. Gideon the Ninth, 4 stars. Horror the Ninth, I have not read yet. The Fireborn trilogy, Fireborn, 4.5 stars. Flamefall and Fury Song, 5 stars. The Chaos Walking trilogy by Patrick Ness. All 3 of these books I gave 5 stars. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, 4 stars. Uprooted by Naomi Novik, 3.5 stars. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O, 3 stars. The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Aragon, 4 stars. Eldest, 5 stars. Brissinger and Inheritance, 4 stars. On the next shelf, we have the Discworld Death Collection by Terry Pratchett. Mort, 4 stars. Reaperman, 3.5 stars. Soul Music, I did not finish. Hogfather, 4 stars. Thief of Time, I did not finish. Rise of the Ranger by Philip C. Quantrell, I have not read. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, 4 stars. Ruination by Anthony Reynolds, 3 stars. The Black Sun series by Rebecca Roanhorse. Black Sun, 5 stars. Fevered Star, 3 stars. Chronicles of the One by Nora Roberts. Year 1, 4.5 stars. Of Blood and Bone, 4 stars. The Rise of Magics, 4 stars. An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, 4 stars. I don't remember this duology name. It's something with Cadence by Rebecca Ross. I have not read either of these books yet. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, 4 stars. Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio, I did not finish. I'm sorry. The Wolf's Call by Anthony Ryan, I have not read. Electra by Jennifer Saint, 4 stars. Okay, and here is my first Brandon Sanderson shelf. It is all of the UK paperback editions, starting with The Stormlight Archives, Book 1 and 2, The Way of Kings, 5 stars, Words of Radiance, 5 stars. The rest of the Stormlight Archives with Oathbringer, 4 stars, Dawnshard, 4 stars, and A Rhythm of War, 5 stars. Elantris, 4 stars. Arcanum Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson. The most important one to know in here is The Emperor's Soul, which I gave 5 stars. There's also Mistborn Secret History that I've read in here, which I gave 4.5 stars. Then we've got the first Mistborn trilogy, The Final Empire, 4 stars. The Well of Ascension, 4.5 stars. The Hero of Ages, 5 stars. The second era of Mistborn, The Alloy of Law, 4 stars. Shadows of Self, 5 stars. The Bands of Mourning, 4 stars. And The Lost Metal, 5 stars. This one will not stand up. Sorry. And finally, we have Warbreaker, 5 stars. Then we have my second Brandon Sanderson shelf of all of my hardcovers, starting with the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. Skyward, 5 stars. Starsight, 4 stars. Cytonic, 2 stars. Skyward Flight, those three books I gave between 4 and 5 stars, and Defiant 4 stars. Okay, I'm not going to take out all of the Stormlight archives since we just went through them. The only one we didn't talk about was Wind and Truth, which I gave 4 stars. The Sunlit Man, which I have not read. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which I have not read. Tress in the Emerald Sea, 5 stars. Isles of the Emberdark, I have not read. The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England, I have not read. This is my Harry Potter shelf with the illustrated editions, the original paperback editions, and the alternative dust jackets done by Nerdy Ink. All of these books are my favorites, and all of them were 5 stars. On the next shelf down here, I have the illustrated editions of the first 2 short story collections in the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. Last Wish and Sword of Destiny, I gave both of these 4 stars. Is the Villains Duology by V.E. Schwab. I gave both of these 5 stars. Then I have The Savage Song Duology by Victoria Schwab. Both of these I gave 4 stars. And then I have the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. Darker Shade of Magic, 4 stars. A Gathering of Shadows, 4 stars. And A Conjuring of Light, 5 stars. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, 4 stars. The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, I have not read yet. A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, I have not read yet. The Scythe trilogy by Neil Shusterman, Scythe and Thunderhead, 5 stars. The Toll, 4 stars. Moving on down, we have City of Dusk by Tara Sim. I did not finish. The Raven Boys series by Maggie Stiefvater. The Raven Boys, 5 stars. The Dream Thieves, 4 stars. Blue Lily, Lily Blue, 5 stars. The Raven King, 4 stars. Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater, 4 stars. The Drowning Empire trilogy by Andrea Stewart. The Bone Shard Daughter, 5 stars. The Bone Shard Emperor, 3.5 stars. The Bone Shard War, 4 stars. Tribe of the Accord by Sean Michael Stone, I have not read yet. The Legends of the First Empire series by Michael J. Sullivan. Age of Myth, Age of Swords, Age of War, and Age of Legend all got 5 stars from me, as well as Age of Death and Age of Empire, also 5 stars. On the next shelf down, we have the Ryoria Revelations by Michael J. Sullivan, Theft of Swords, 4.5 stars, Rise of Empire, 4.5 stars, Heir of Novron, 5 stars. Nolan and Fairlane by Michael J. Sullivan, both 5 stars. The Empire of the Wolf trilogy by Richard Swan, The Justice of Kings, 4 stars. The Tyranny of Faith, 4 stars. The Trials of Empire, I did not finish. Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan, 2 stars. The Strange the Dreamer duology by Laini Taylor, both received 4 stars. Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky, 5 stars. For my next shelf, we have The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, 3 stars. The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, all of these received 5 stars. The alternative dust jackets for The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings that were done by Nerdy Ink. The Sword of Kaigen by Emma Wong, 5 stars. Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wong, I have not read yet. Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson, I have not read yet. And for my last fantasy shelf, we have Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks, The Black Prism, 5 stars, The Blinding Knife, I believe 4 stars, The Broken Eye, and The Blood Mirror, 4 stars, and Burning White, I believe also 4 stars. Dragons of Autumn Twilight by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, I have not read yet. The first 2 books in the Burning Blade and Silver Eye series by Django Wexler. Ashes of the Sun, 4 stars. Blood of the Chosen, I did not finish. And I Darken series by Kirsten White. And I Darken, 5 stars. Now I Rise and Bright We Burn, 4 stars. The Winnowing Flame trilogy by Jen Williams. The Ninth Reign and the Bitter Twins, 4 stars. The Poison Song, 3 stars. Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young, 4 stars. Song of Silver Flame Like Night by Amelie Winsau, I have not read yet. And for the bottom shelf here, I have featured my original self-published fantasy book from years ago. It's not in print anymore, but I do have that featured. And then I have all of my comic books and graphic novels. This is a combination classics and remaining Harry Potter shelf with the Mina Lima Harry Potter editions and the Barnes & Noble Classic editions. The ones I have read on this shelf include, of course, Harry Potter, Madeline, Jurassic Park, which I gave 5 stars, The Lost World, which I gave 4 stars, and the 3 novels in the Stephen King collection. On my first sci-fi shelf, we have Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, 4 stars. The first 2 books in the Patternist novels by Octavia E. Butler, both Wild Seed and Mind of My Mind, I gave 4 stars. Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, 3 stars. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, 5 stars. 14 by Peter Clines, 4 stars. The first 2 books in the Wayward Pines trilogy by Blake Crouch, Pines 3.5 stars, Wayward 4 stars. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, 5 stars. Recursion by Blake Crouch, 4 stars. A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World by C.A. Fletcher, I have not read. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, 4.5 stars, and A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green, 4 stars. The Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, Illuminae and Gemina, 5 stars, Obsidio, 4 stars. The Lifelike series by Jay Kristoff, all 3 of these books I believe I gave 4 stars. For my second and final sci-fi shelf, we have The Punch Escrow by Tal M. Klein, 4 stars. Nine Fox Gambit by Yoon Ha Lee, I have not read. The first 2 books in the Remembrance of Earth's Past series by Shijin Liu, The Three-Body Problem, 4 stars, and The Dark Forest, I did not finish. Activation Degradation by Marina J. Lostetter, 4 stars. The Texcalan duology by Arkady Martin, A Memory Called Empire, 4 stars. A Desolation Called Peace, I did not finish. The Themis Files by Sylvain Nouvel, Sleeping Giants and Waking Gods, 5 stars. Only Human, 3 stars. The Binti Trilogy by Nydia Corafor, Binti and Home, 4 stars. The Night Masquerade, 3.5 stars. Anyone by Charles Sewell, 4 stars. The Oracle Year by Charles Sewell, 5 stars. The Endless Vessel by Charles Sewell, 2 stars. The Gone World by Tom Sweterlich, 4 stars. The Children of Time series by Adrian Tchaikovsky, I have not read. And Andy Weir's 3 books, The Martian, 5 stars, Project Hail Mary, 5 stars, and Artemis, 4 stars. Now for the first shelf in my mystery thriller/horror section, we have Taylor Adams with No Exit, 4 stars, and The Last Word, 5 stars. Ashley Audrain with The Whispers, 4 stars, and The Push, 5 stars. Ash Falls by David Baldacci, I have not read. The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz, 3 stars. The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry, 4.5 stars. World War Z by Max Brooks, 4 stars. Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, my favorite book of all time, 5 stars. Agatha Christie, Midsummer Mysteries, I have not read. Death on the Nile, 4 stars. And Then There Were None, 5 stars. Harlan Coben, Runaway, 5 stars. The Boy from the Woods, 5 stars. Liv Constantine, The Last Mrs. Parrish, 5 stars. The Next Mrs. Parrish, 3 stars. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, 4 stars. The Passage by Justin Cronin, I did not finish. The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson, 4 stars. J.P. Delaney, The Girl Before, The Perfect Wife, and Playing Nice, all 4 stars. Samantha Downing, My Lovely Wife, and For Your Own Good, both 4 stars. On to the next shelf, we have A Nearly Normal Family by M.T. Edwardson, 5 stars. First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston, 5 stars. They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, 4 stars. Gillian Flynn, Dark Places, 3 stars. Gone Girl, 5 stars. Sharp Objects, 4 stars. Guest List by Lucy Foley, 4 stars. Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, 4 stars. Dark Corners by Megan Golden, 4 stars. Jane Harper, The Dry, 5 stars. Force of Nature, 4 stars. The Lost Man, 4 stars. And The Survivors, I did not finish. Rachel Hawkins, Reckless Girls and The Wife Upstairs, both 4 stars. Grady Hendrix, Horror Store, 4 stars. My Best Friend's Exorcism, 5 stars. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, 4.5 stars. How to Sell a Haunted House, 5 stars. The Final Girl Support Group, I did not finish. The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry, 4 stars. Hex by Thomas Old Huvelt, I have not read. Nosferatu by Joe Hill, 5 stars. On the next shelf, we have Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier, 4 stars. Dot Hutchison, The Butterfly Garden and the Summer Children, both 4 stars. Simone St. James, The Sundown Motel, 4.5 stars. The Book of Cold Cases, 5 stars. The Broken Girls, 4 stars. And Murder Road, 4 stars. My Stephen King books, so The Long Walk, 3 stars. It, 4 stars. Firestarter, 4 stars. Carrie, 5 stars. Salem's Lot, 4 stars. The Shining, 5 stars. Pet Sematary, The Institute, Misery, and The Outsider, all 4 stars. Stieg Larsson, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 4 stars. The Girl Who Played with Fire, 4 stars. And The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, 5 stars. John Mars, The Passengers, 4.5 stars. The One, 5 stars. And finally, on the bottom shelf here, we have The Road by Cormac McCarthy, 5 stars. Frida McFadden, The Housemaid and the Housemaid's Secret, both 4 stars. Adrian McKinty, The Chain, 4 stars. Jennifer McMahon, The Invited and The Winter People, both 4 stars. Karen M. McManus, One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next, both 4 stars. Alex Michaelides, The Maidens, 2 stars. The Silent Patient, 4 stars. All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda, 4 stars. The Perfect Mother by Amy Malloy, 4 stars. Alex North, The Whisper Man, 5 stars. The Shadows, 4 stars. B.A. Paris, Bring Me Back, 4 stars. And Behind Closed Doors, 5 stars. Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough, 4 stars. Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, 5 stars. The Anomaly by Michael Rucker, 4 stars. And Riley Sager, Final Girls, 4 stars. The Last Time I Lied, 3.5 stars. Home Before Dark, 5 stars. Lock Every Door, 4 stars. And The Only One Left, 5 stars. This is another classics shelf with the Barnes & Noble editions. The only one I have read on this shelf is Dracula, which I gave 4 stars. On the next corner shelf down, we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, 4 stars. Animal Farm by George Orwell. I have not read this in so long, so I'm not even going to say a rating. I need to reread it. 1984 by George Orwell. Same thing. I need to reread this one. Dracula by Bram Stoker, 4 stars. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, both by Lewis Carroll, both 4 stars. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, 5 stars. Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, I have not read. A Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne, I have not read. The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, 3.5 stars. Black Beauty by Anna Sewell, I have not read. The Call of the Wild by Jack London, I have not read. And this incredibly old edition of Winnie the Pooh that I have not read. And frankly, I'm afraid to read. It is falling apart. For the last mystery thriller / horror shelf, we have A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, 4 stars. The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, 4 stars. The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward, 5 stars. One by One by Ruth Ware, 3 stars. The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, 4 stars. A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham, 4 stars. For my nonfiction parenting / self-help shelf, we have Expect Something Beautiful by Laura Booz, I have not read. Atomic Habits by James Clear, 5 stars. Hunt Gather Parent by Michaeline Duclef, 5 stars. Protecting the Gift by Gavin D. Becker, 5 stars. How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen by Joanna Faber and Julie King, 5 stars. I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Norman Geisler and Frank Turek, 5 stars. The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, 5 stars. Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy, 5 stars. French Kids Eat Everything by Karen Lebelon, 4 stars. Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, I have not read. The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F by Mark Manson, 5 stars. Good Energy by Casey Means, 5 stars. Moving down to the next shelf, we have Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, 5 stars. Simplicity Parenting by Kim John Payne, 5 stars. The Extinction of Experience by Christine Rosen, 5 stars. The Collapse of Parenting by Leonard Sachs, 5 stars. Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, 5 stars. The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, 5 stars. For my memoir shelf, we have Untamed by Glennon Doyle, 3 stars. Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford, 5 stars. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, 4 stars. The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green, 3.5 stars. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, 5 stars. In Order to Live by Hyunmi Park, 5 stars. Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry, I have not read. Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson, 5 stars. Educated by Tara Westover, 5 stars. And for my historical nonfiction shelf, we have The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown, I have not read. Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann, I have not read. Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, I have not read. The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, I have not read. Band of Giants by Jack Kelly, I have not read. In the Garden of Beasts by Eric Larson, 4 stars. The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson, 4 stars. Up at the top again here, we have my romance shelf, which has It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, 4 stars. Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey, 5 stars. Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, 4 stars. How to Walk Away by Catherine Center, 5 stars. Things You Save in a Fire, 4 stars. The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, 5 stars. The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood, 5 stars. Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood, 4 stars. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, 3 stars. Beach Read by Emily Henry, 4.5 stars. Book Lovers by Emily Henry, 4 stars. Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, 4 stars. Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, 4.5 stars. Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, 4 stars. Evie Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes, 5 stars. Flying Solo by Linda Holmes, 2 stars. November 9th by Colleen Hoover, 4 stars. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, 4 stars. Verity by Colleen Hoover has not been read. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, 5 stars. The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren, 4 stars. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, 4.5 stars. In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, 4.5 stars. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren, 5 stars. The Christmas Escape by Sarah Morgan, 4 stars. The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, 5 stars. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, 4 stars. And The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, 5 stars. For my first general fiction shelf, we have The Homewreckers by Mary Kay Andrews, I did not finish. Beartown by Frederick Bachman, 5 stars. Us Against You by Frederick Bachman, 5 stars. The Winners by Frederick Bachman, I have not read. Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman, 4 stars. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, 5 stars. My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman, 3.5 stars. The Mothers by Britt Bennett, 4 stars. The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, 4.5 stars. Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley, 4.5 stars. Warrior Girl Unearthed by Angeline Booley, I have not read. On the next shelf, we have The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne, 5 stars. A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne, I did not finish. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, 4 stars. The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain, 5 stars. Big Lies in a Small Town by Diane Chamberlain, 5 stars. The Last House on the Street by Diane Chamberlain, 4 stars. The Last Train to Key West by Chanel Cleaton, 3.5 stars. Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleaton, I did not finish. Finley Donovan is Killing It by El Cosimano, 4 stars. And Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead, also 4 stars. The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abby DeRay, 5 stars. The Wonder by Emma Donoghue, 4 stars. Room by Emma Donoghue, 5 stars. The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue, I did not finish. One for the Money by Janet Ivanovich, 4 stars. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis, 4.5 stars. For the next shelf, we have City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert, 5 stars. All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood, 5 stars. Transcendent Kingdom by Yagyasi, 4.5 stars. Homegoing by Yagyasi, 5 stars. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, 3.5 stars. Happy and You Know It by Laura Hinken, 4 stars. Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, 4.5 stars. The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, 5 stars. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, 5 stars. The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, 5 stars. The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller, 4 stars. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, 5 stars. Fault Lines by Emily Itami, 4 stars. For the next shelf, we have Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, I have not read. Lilac Girls by Martha Hall Kelly, 4 stars. Miracle Creek by Angie Kim, 4 stars. This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger, 4 stars. We Are Water by Wally Lamb, 5 stars. Life of Pi by Jan Martel, 4.5 stars. Wahala by Nikki May, 3 stars. The Hypnotist Love Story by Leanne Moriarty, 3.5 stars. What Alice Forgot by Leanne Moriarty, 5 stars. The Husband's Secret by Leanne Moriarty, 5 stars. Big Little Lies, 5 stars. 3 Wishes, 5 stars. The Last Anniversary by Leanne Moriarty, 3.5 stars. The Last Letter from Your Lover by Jojo Moyes, 3.5 stars. Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, 4 stars. The Horse Dancer by Jojo Moyes, 3.5 stars. The Girl You Left Behind, 5 stars. 1+1, 5 stars. And Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes, 5 stars. On the next shelf, we have I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, 5 stars. When the World Tips Over by Jandy Nelson, I have not read. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, 4 stars. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, 4 stars. Sankofa by Chibundu Onuzo, 4 stars. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, 5 stars. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, 4 stars. The Maid by Nita Prose, 5 stars. The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose, 5 stars. The last shelf that I have in my library, last but certainly not least, we have The Alice Network by Kate Quinn, 4 stars. Wildwood Magic by Willa Reese, I have not read. Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 5 stars. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 4 stars. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 5 stars. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 5 stars. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 5 stars. A Woman Is No Man by Etaf Rum, 5 stars. Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys, 4 stars. The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer, 5 stars. The Unsinkable Greta James by Jennifer E. Smith, 5 stars. The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein, 5 stars. A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Toils, 3 stars. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, I have not read. The Final Revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton, 4 stars. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, 5 stars. And finally, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak, 4 stars. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. I hope that this was helpful to you if you were curious about my reading taste, and if you saw any of your favorites, definitely comment them down below. And if you saw any books that I was missing off of my shelves that is a favorite of yours, let me know that too. I would love to hear any of your recommendations for books I should check out. Thank you so much for being here today. Until I see you next time, happy reading, and I'll see you soon. Bye.